This is Afroeconomics with J.B. Bryan. Afroeconomics is a strategic financial management program designed for the advancement of Black wealth in America and abroad.
Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
And thanks for joining us, family. We trust you had an enjoyable weekend. Financial advisor J.B. Bryan is here. J.B., welcome back to WOL Radio.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. It's good to be here, talk about some positive things. We're going to turn every negative into a positive.
There you go. Love that.
That's right.
JB, we just had the last national unemployment report before the election, and it showed that a lot of women lost their jobs last month. How do you see those figures? Did you get a chance to look into those numbers?
Oh, I did. I'm glad you brought that to my attention because numbers don't really tell you a lot. You know how Money Mayweather always says numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, but you have to look what the numbers are. You have to look at what the numbers are made up of. So the numbers, said that, hey, unemployment is a lot better. Certainly it's at about 8% for all demographics, and that as far as overall for Americans, that it's about 8%. That's a lot better than at 15% that we were at in April. But they did notice that there's a drop in women. And when I looked at the research farther and I looked at a New York Times article, it actually broke down that a lot of women were opting out of working. And opt out is a kind of easy way of saying that there's a lot of women who have had to make the hard decision of, I guess, I'm the lowest money maker in the household, so I guess I'm going to have to stop. And that is a luxury that a lot of women that look like me don't have that luxury. So they found out that the majority of women who are opting out of work were white women. So, even though it says 1.1 million people aged 20 and over left the workforce. They're neither working nor looking for work. And that was between August and September. And with that 1.1 million, 800,000 of them were women. And it said 324,000 of that 8,000 women were Latina women, and 58,000 were Black women. So Black women, now only 58,000 out of the 800,000 Black women chose to actually leave work and were not looking for work. And that statistically, that's probably about right. That's a small percentage of Black women who have another breadwinner in the household that's making so much more that they can opt out of working. And, that they're making enough money for both of them, or that they really had to decide that I'm not really making enough for it to be worth it for, say, us to figure out how 3 kids can stay home from school because the schools aren't open. And that's a big challenge in a pandemic time. But think about our community where you have a lot of women who are single, the single breadwinner and the head of the household, and they have children who cannot go to school, and they're still having to go to work. And that statistic really worries me about because we don't have the ability to opt out of work. Many of our Black households, and not as many is probably the wrong word, Carl. I really could say most.
Yeah. Let me
households.
Jump in here and say that because the latest report said more than 70% of Black households led by women. So you're right, and those numbers jumped because it was back to school, so somebody had to stay home with the children.
Yes, and so this is, as we've always said over the years, whenever we talk, that everybody's income in the household is important. And I've talked a lot to, the importance of the women having the emergency account, being very careful with their money. And too often, though, women don't plan for this time. How can you plan for a pandemic? But we have to know that we should expect the unexpected. We have to, that things do happen in life that you really can't prepare for. Someone's always going to die. That's guaranteed that you're going to have a death in the family. We just don't know when. So we have to prepare for these unexpecteds. But this pandemic just shows us how important it is to have an emergency fund. And I know that during one of our discussions, I shared that if you are a single parent, that it even becomes more important to have a bigger emergency fund. You get that, Carl? Because you're the only one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go to the fact that, that stimulus check, we already had one, and there's a possibility we're going to get another one. But we're coming up towards the holidays. The holiday season is coming up, and at the end of the year. And I want you, if you can, help us with some budgeting tips. Because if we're not working and we get that stimulus check, people look at it. We got Halloween coming up, and then we got Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then our people feel like they got to go all out on a limited budget. So help us out here. What should our folks be doing?
Buying nothing and saving everything. We have to make a commitment to sacrificing. I just did a workshop last week, and you can go to YouTube and look at it again. It's absolutely free. Freedom ain't free. It's just not. If you want to have the confidence of knowing that your family's going to be okay, regardless of what happens, that you have at least 90 days of expenses available, we have to start, as I said, with the first stimulus check, that we need to save these things. The average American, not just Black American, the average American has a very hard time coming up with $1,000. Now, if you have to come up with $1,000 and you can't, think about that might be month after month. So you need to take it seriously that having credit cards and living off credit cards is not a lifestyle. I have too many people who have told me that they've gone into their retirement accounts because of this pandemic that is allowing you to use your retirement account to take care of expenses. So there is this thing that you do not get a tax penalty for going into your retirement accounts this year. But that's just to increase the tax income that the government is going to get today. That's money that you could have been deferring for the next 20 years or 30 years, depending on your age. You would not have had to pay taxes on that at all. Now you have to pay taxes on it, but they're willing to give up the penalty in exchange for getting income taxes today. They're saying, I want that income now, and we're going in and messing up our financial futures by taking it and paying off credit cards and paying off cars and paying off things that you don't need anyway. We should not have. And it's really sad when you're taking your life savings to pay off something that has no value. And it's not. I could even understand if it was because you had nowhere to live and you have to take out money because you can't make your home payment. But if it's because you lived above your means and you bought into this payment philosophy of you can afford it because you can make the payment, we have to move away from that. And that is not proper use of your money. And that's pre-pandemic, but especially now during the pandemic, I love the fact that more people are excited about their financial futures, but make sure that you're approaching it the right way, that you're approaching your financial future as this is going to take time for me to build this. This is going to take time. Like if you're leaving your job, even especially ladies, listen to me. If you're leaving your job because you want to stay home with the kids, that does not mean you have to spend your retirement money. You can do investments with it, roll it over to a retirement account that you control, that's fine. But you do not have to get off track and spend your money to pay off bills. That means you cannot afford to stop work. You can't use your retirement to live off now in pre-retirement. So we have to really unite and set up support systems so that the incomes can continue to come into our family as we protect our children during this time of the pandemic. So we have to protect our finances.
Eddie just texted me. He's got a question for you. He says he's 62, just turned 62, not working, and he's thinking about tapping into his Social Security. He really wanted to take it at 65, but he's thinking that he has no choice. What advice do you have for Eddie?
Well, first of all, I really believe in the power of the mind, and I really believe that we have to be. We have what we speak and what we say will definitely happen. So if you say I have no choice, I have to start now, then you're going to have to start now. If you at least open yourself up to the opportunities of getting a job, because 62 is young, and finding a job, because many businesses are hiring. But you may have health issues or some specific reasons why you cannot work now, then you should make sure you call the Social Security office and set up a plan on how much income you can get from your Social Security, and realize straight on the sacrifice that you're making over your long-term retirement income. But if you have to have it, if you're ill, you can't work during these times, there are certain situations where, as you said, you don't have any choice. But sometimes we make those statements and you haven't put out the effort to make it different for you. So first, exhaust all that is real. So if I assume that you're a healthy 62-year-old man, you do have a choice.
Hang on a second, JB, we got to take a short break, and I'll let you finish responding to Eddie's tweet on the other side. Folks, you want to join our conversation, I guess JB Bryan, reach out to us. 800-450-7876. Get you in. Take all your calls after this short break right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Join Afro Economics, where our Black wealth matters. Free online events and app. Discover culturally conscious investing and financial planning, credit, tax planning, insurance, and starting your own business. Call me at 1-844-522-7926. I'm JB Bryan, the creator of Afro Economics. Hashtag Afro Economics. Hashtag JB Bryan.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
I'd like to stay with us, folks. Our guest is financial advisor. Her name is J.B. Bryan. You got a question about finances, especially about the future now, because we know things are kind of tough out there, and you want to figure out how to keep your money. And that's the deal. Keep your money as long as you can. You need to speak to J.B. Before we left, Eddie had tweeted a question about Social Security. He was 62. He's lost his job and doesn't have any income. So he was wondering. He says, well, he did say that all he can do is take his Social Security earlier now than he wanted to. So, JB, I'm going to let you finish your response to Eddie, because I know he's still listening.
It's a really good point that he's making. That I think that since he is healthy, he only said he's out of work. He didn't say that I'm disabled. He didn't say that I'm sick. So I think that, Eddie, you should go into this great job market. If you're healthy and you feel good and you still want to work, because you give up so much money. Schedule an appointment, talk to the people at the Social Security office, and look at the difference in your payment between 62 and 70. And when you see that huge difference in the amount of money that you would get for the rest of your life, then, Eddie, I think you'll get motivated. It's like money in the bank. So every year, every month even, that you can put off and get another form of income, the better off that you'll be. I mean, if you haven't saved anything else for retirement, know that you have saved your Social Security. That is your money. You put away 7.5% of your income for your entire working career, and your employers have matched that 7.5%. That is money you earn. So we should protect it just like anything else. If you had $1 million sitting there, you would say, well, if I let it grow a little bit more, if you could see what the lump sum is that's required to pay you for your life, you would take it very seriously. But since you can't see the lump sum, sometimes we just go, oh, I better take it now. But, the reason that it goes higher with the delay is because that your life expectancy that you will live off it, of course, is a shorter period of time. That they have to amortize it. They have to basically they have to do a calculation based on the average person's life. But let's hope that you live, say, 100. You have a family member that lived to 99, Eddie. Well, you're going to want the biggest check because you're going to live from 70 to 99, 100 years old, Eddie. So you want to have, say it's 2,000 today or 3,000 at age 70, so really take that seriously, that it can enhance your lifestyle during a time where you may not want to work. You might say, in my 70s, I really want to not work. I want to volunteer my time. I want to be a counselor at the park or, whatever. So you might have different plans, but at 62, you may still feel like, let me get it in. Then make sure that you do that because you're getting money on your money. And once you get to full retirement age, say your full retirement age is near 67. For those years from 67 to 70, they give you an 8% bonus that you're getting on that jump up in what you get paid. So it's an investment that often, Carl, is just taken for granted. It's your money.
Right. I didn't know that. I know that. We got some folks who want to talk to you. Eddie, I hope that works out for you. 800-450-7876. Charles III is calling from the district. He's on line 3. Charles, you're on with JB.
Hey, Carl. Thanks for taking my call, and it's an honor to speak with the sister. I got a couple of questions. I like to sometimes think outside of the box. So questions I will ask isn't questioning her positioning, but just a different idea out there to help our folks. One, with the Social Security, I hear a lot of people saying you should wait till later to get more money. But with we as black folks who have generally shorter life expectancies, I wonder if that's always the right thing, because if you actually work the numbers, and at one time I had done those in my life, it takes about 12 years before it is no longer an advantage if you wait from 62 till 65, because it's going to hit a break-even point at approximately 12 years. And if you live longer than that, then you'll look back and say it wasn't the right decision to make. So if average black folk is living less than the mid-70s, I don't know if it's certainly a sure thing to delay that, okay?
Yeah, that's exactly what I told Eddie. That's exactly what I told Eddie. But I said, Eddie is going to live to 100. Remember? We were being positive. The first thing I said when I got on the air, I said, everything I talk about today is turning a negative into a positive. But you are right, Charles. But the 10th principle of Afroeconomics is black health and black wealth. So everybody I work with, I make sure that taking care of their health is a key part of their financial management. I want people walking every day. I want people eating right. I want people to have their mind, spirit, everything. That's why God is at the core of this. But you are so right. We have been dying off and not being able to take advantage of any of the things that we've worked for. So you are correct. When the majority of black people work for a municipality of some sort that has a pension, especially for our grown folk, and they are leaving. Imagine the amount of money that we're leaving in the federal pot if black people are indeed dying in their early 70s. There's millions of dollars, because of just health and stress and oppression and all of the things that we've been through, and we have to learn how to manage it correctly. So that.
Okay, and I agree.
You're right that Social Security gets money, because we're not living a long, long time, but pensions are getting money also the same way, and you are correct. But at the same time, if we do, like you said, go past now. Even now, with all of the medicines and the machines that they're putting us on, our quality of life is down, but we are certainly living a lot longer. And everybody could say that.
That's my other question here. And again, I'm just saying, looking at the numbers.
They can keep you alive forever now.
I understand being very positive, but we also have to be realistic, too.
That's right.
And with our lifestyle changes, if they're not made, then we may not live to be 80. But here's my second point.
People live to be 80 without lifestyle changes now. It's amazing. They just put them on a machine, and then they live till 90. But we don't want to live like that. But you're right. You're right.
We're not giving up the meat or whatever. Right. Okay, so here's question number 2. And again, this is thinking outside of the box. You were commenting on the withdrawals from the 401k plans in the IRAs. Okay, now if someone needs to sustain themselves, the long term is great, but as friends and I like to say, hey, you can't take care of the short term, you can't get to the long term. So here's a question for you. With the rules saying you can take money out of your 401k or your IRA, and withdraw that money, and then you can defer the taxes over 3 years if you don't pay it back. So, or else if you're going to redeposit it, you've got 3 years to pay it back. So my question to you is, let's say I'm an individual not sure if I'm going to have my job early next year.
That's right.
Okay. And this is the 1 year because it's on the books till the 31st of December.
That's right.
Okay. Why wouldn't it be in my best interest to pull that money out? And then if I do have my job, I can redeposit it without having to pay that penalty and also having to claim it as income. Please tell me why that might not be a prudent idea.
Well, you're a numbers person. What is the likelihood that it's actually going to happen? Do you know that the IRS said you could have 3 years because they know that most people, just like finance and furniture, they do it for a 3-year period, no interest. And what? They make a whole lot of money because people wait till the 3 years and then they pay all of the interest because they had made one payment over the whole 3-year period. Then they lose their job. That's the worst part.
No, hold on.
But I'm just saying that with the taxes. So with the taxes,
it's 3 years to pay it back. You don't
exactly.
have to make payments.
But but I'm saying you're sitting there 3 years spending the money. Charles, where's the money going to come from if the person's out of work? They still have tax penalties. So now they're paying penalties.
Go back to my...
Okay. But it's a really bad, I know what you're referring to and I know what you're suggesting, but to everyone who is listening, don't do it.
You said you were going to keep it positive,
how many, I know, and I positively tell you, do not do it. Because there are too many things that can happen within a 3-year period. If the only way that person should do it is if they pay that IRS bill that first year. My success rate will be much higher than yours. We're going to disagree, sister. That's right. I'm the one that has to. I'm the one that's with the client 3 years later. You can just give out advice for this year. I'm with people for their lifetime. So I'm the one that's want to make sure that they don't have any tax penalties. So then the next year, they're still out of work. And the next year, they're still out of work. So if they pay that bill and say they have $100,000, they pay to the government 25%, 5% to their state, 20% to the Fed. They have $75,000 left. If this is something they feel like they must do, you take that, but you pay that government first, because the government will take you to your grave. They're going to get paid. You can't play with them.
Okay, may I make one
All
final
of the
statement?
other people you
Well,
owe.
I'll tell you what, hang on, guys. We've got to take a short break here. Eddie, I'm sorry, Charles, I'll let you pose your question on the other side of this short break. Folks, you want to join us to speak to our guest, J.B. Bryan, reach out to us. 800-450-7876 gets you in. Those are the magic numbers. We'll take your calls after this quick break right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
I'm J.B. Bryan, the creator of Afroeconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. Afroeconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out Afroeconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly Afroeconomics podcast. There are many levels of Afroeconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out afroeconomics.com today. Powered by J.B. Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. Hashtag Afroeconomics.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
And thanks for staying with us, folks. Our guest is financial advisor. Her name is J.B. Bryan. You got a question about finances, reach out to us at 800-450-7876. We're speaking with Jimmy in D.C. Jimmy's coming up next. We're speaking with Charles, actually, in D.C. Charles, I'll let you finish your question for J.B.
Okay, yeah. Again, I think if we're being positive, we have to factor in that our people, and again, I know individuals who are in shaky positions at work, so they've taken that money out to hold it over, and so they don't have to pay the penalty because January 1, the old rules apply. So finally, I would just like to say this, just my statement and closing up. A lot of times, there are things that are put out there in the financial markets, and we as people take those things and assume it applies all the time, and we don't understand finances, investing, and the markets are so dynamic. So what may have applied a year ago, maybe even 6 months ago, may not apply today, and we have to, at least when we're bringing it to our people, we have to look beneath the surface, and not just because it is what people are saying. We have to, as Neely Fuller says, follow the logic and not the leaders. And I'm going to end it there. And thanks, Carl. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Charles.
Well, I think I think that it would be totally illogical to have a leader that doesn't have logic. When you're following logic, it should lead you to someone. But I definitely think that is something for us to ponder, that the wealthiest people among us are the people who have IRAs and are over 70. Now, I mean, the majority of them, if you're talking about people that have a lump sum of money, we're talking about people over 70, now 72. The IRS said to them, you don't have to take out your required minimum distribution. But they said to the young people who now, if they take that money out, may never, ever reach the point of those who don't have to take out the required minimum distribution this year. So what I'm saying to Charles is he said, look beneath the surface. I think that when we don't know the whole picture, we can see how the system is using us when we see the whole picture. It's like a commercial. You can be set up in so many ways. So if they can get the young person to take this money out of the retirement account early, then they don't have to give you the privilege of growing that money tax deferred over the rest of your career. Do you know how much money is cut out of the budget because they're not getting taxation on our deferred retirement accounts? So they said, let's let the young people take that out and we'll win both ways. We'll win because they won't have the money growing for longer, and we'll win because they're going to have to pay us back. And that's income, their taxes that we're going to get now. Do you know how long it would take for us to get $100,000 out of that person? They might have been retired 2-3 years before that. So here they are, they're 40. And we get them to take that $100,000 out now and tell them they won't have to pay the penalty, and look how much more we'll make off them. So yes, you might take it out and take care of some of your short-term consumer debt, but the likelihood of you disturbing, like you're pulling it, what if this market like continues to move forward? So all the people that Charles is saying they decide to take their money out, they're not just taking it out and paying taxes, even if they spread it over the 3 years, which increases their likelihood of not having the money. So because they're going to have to sit that money there, because the money, that bill is going to be the same. So you have to sit the money there. If you spend the money, you're going to have to somehow come up with that money to pay that. So that
right,
this
we got a bunch of folks want to talk
yes.
to you.
So definitely look at the whole picture of how you could be being used.
800-450-7876. Jimmy's in Houston. He's online too. Jimmy, you're on with JB.
How you doing, Jimmy?
Hey, how you doing, Cornell? How you doing, JB?
My friend.
All right. I'm going to keep it positive.
That's right.
I just want to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
I got 2 questions, really 3 leading up, segue into the third one. Can you generate money out of thin air using credit?
Can you generate money out of thin air using credit? It depends on, that's what's done every day in business. People finance a truck, that's using credit, and that truck allows them to go pick up trash, and they get paid for picking up trash. So yes, you can generate money out of thin air using credit.
And it just segueing into the actual second question is, I've been thinking about, what's your thought about, I've been thinking about selling my trade line and generating cash flow using, selling my trade line during this time and basically maybe going through like a trade line broker to do that.
Is that like somebody, that's a company's name, trade line? Is that what you said?
No, that's on your credit report. Like, your how long you been having your how long you been having your credit card, your history.
Okay.
That's another form of repairing people's credit. It's trade line. It's kind of hard. You got to actually buy that from people. Or like when you add authorized users. Basically, when you add authorized users and they share your trade line. What's your thought on that? I'm thinking about. I know I got to make $1,000 a month doing that, but
I would have to look at that, Jimmy. Be careful with anything that involves giving up your identity. But I would look farther.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. Now, the third one is when y'all was talking about, because I kind of understand what people are going through. People want to live right now and enjoy their money as well as later. Could this be a solution? What's your thought about life insurance, compound interest, life insurance? One side of it is death, and then you got the cash on the other that generate compound interest, and you taking that money from you borrow. Basically, it's kind of like the same concept of when I told you I borrowed from my thrift savings and I'm paying myself back. This, you can, if you ain't working for the government, you can actually do it through life insurance that way, where you borrowing from your life insurance, the cash side of it, that's compounding. You taking that and investing it, and taking that money and reinvesting it and generating cash flow. What's your thought on a life insurance?
If I'm telling you, if a couple of insurance companies can get people to do that, they're going to be very rich. Do you know how much money somebody can make off you by you doing that? You take your retirement account out. You pay taxes on the retirement account. Okay, the government gets paid. You take that money, you put in there with the insurance company. The insurance company now is getting paid. Immediately, the insurance company is going to charge you for insurance. So there's no way that you're ever going to get back out what you put in. And then they're going to back it up with, you can't take out the money cash. You're going to have to take a loan from us in order to get that. And it's a non-taxable event. But it shouldn't be, because you already paid taxes on it. So I don't see the only way that would...
You're just using other people's money.
But you're not using anybody. You're not using other people's money, because in order to generate that cash back...
interest.
But in order, that's your money, that earned money. But believe it or not, somebody's making more money than the money you earn. So
How do you take that money and invest it?
Jamie, if you put your money in a life insurance policy, you have put your money in the life insurance policy. You're using your money.
The left side and the...
You're using the only way I guess you could win in that is die and then come back to life when your family gets the $1 million. You're like, then you could come out ahead.
The one part when you pay half of it goes to the debt side, but the other side goes to what you can use now.
Seriously,
like pay off your house,
this is what you do. This is what you do. You join Afro Economics. You get the numbers. You get the numbers from the illustration on that policy. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I'm licensed in this stuff. And I will show you how we make money. Okay? I'm telling you, like they are trying to make life insurance policies into everything. Life insurance policies are for life insurance. And our goal is to make sure that we buy the proper coverage to take care of those who will suffer upon our death. Life insurance is not your investment portfolio. We put that in the market.
Have you ever heard of...
You're going to pay the huge insurance fees when we could be investing that account. You could be taking that money. There's no way that you'll come out ahead as an investor in a life insurance policy. As an investor, unless your point is
to die. We've got to take another break here. Jimmy, I know you have a follow-up question. Folks, you want to join our conversation? Our guest, J.B. Bryan, reach out to us. 800-450-7876. Get you in to call your calls after this short break right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Join Afro Economics, where our Black wealth matters. Free online events and app. Discover culturally conscious investing and financial planning, credits, tax planning, insurance, and starting your own business. Call me at 1-844-522-7926. I'm J.B. Bryan, the creator of Afro Economics. Hashtag Afro Economics. Hashtag J.B. Bryan.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
And thanks for rolling with us, folks. I guess his financial advisor, J.B. Bryan. So let's go back out to Houston. Jimmy, your final question for J.B.
Yes, my final question is just a quick statement. Is Carl, man, I'm with Navy Federal. I clicked on the FICO score, and man, it's showing a perfect 850. So I'm just happy with that. And because of that, I say if I got this credit, I'm going to use it. That's why I'm tapping into the trade line off of selling, because, I was helping my family, and y'all say I was very nice, but I didn't realize the power I had in my hands. So I'm going to generate cash flow with that. And on top of that, purchase asset that's going to generate cash flow. But my question, Bryan, is have you ever heard of velocity banking and infinite banking?
No, I haven't. But I'll look it up.
That's what that is.
You do. I think you have
other people's money.
Jimmy, I think you have sponsors and you're not paying Carl. Because you mentioned at least 3 names. I'm gonna check you out. I'm gonna find out. Throwing names out. You throw out my black name. Throw out a black name. Throw out J.B. Bryan. Throw it out.
No, that's just a term. That's just a term because you turn.
No. I hear you. I'm just say everything you say. I'm like I hear you. Telling people go and
write it down.
we just have different philosophies. I want my people free. You like to be caught up in it.
Yeah.
I don't want to owe anybody anything. To me, that's success. When you could look around and say, that's mine. And you're right.
I just want to end by saying everybody become their own bank and be able to borrow from yourself.
If you don't have nothing, if you owe everybody everything, you can think you got some money, but still have zero net worth. You have $1 million in your account, but you owe $1 million out. That's zero. That doesn't pull up black wealth. What I'm working on is having assets. I want us to have positive wealth, positive net worth. We can't close we can't close the wealth gap by trying to pull other people down. I don't advocate that. I want to pull up the wealth gap I want to close it by us going up.
Still got a bunch of folks.
We're going up.
Jimmy, thank you for your call. 800-450-7876. Josh is up next. Josh is on line 4, calling from D.C. Joshua, you're on with JB.
Hello, calling JB. I'm going to be real quick on this.
You're fine.
I heard you talking to Charles, and you were saying how the IRS is going to get theirs up front. And I'm going with, my question is, in these 401ks, should we be investing in these 401k, or is there anything else that we can do? Is my first question. My second question is, how is it that 45 pays no tax, but the little man has to pay all the taxes?
Yes. And he that's very good. Your first one about 401ks, they're a great tool for us to use to save for our future. If you're in a TSP or 403B or the 401k, all of those are just tax codes for even the 457 for deferring your compensation. Some of them have company matches and billions of dollars are left unmatched. People just don't participate. There's money left that they don't never get. People could have put away. So, but the key is, with the 401k, you have to know where to put the money. So I see more and more 401ks adding advisors to their account as a fee. But that is a basic part of Afroeconomics, to look at your options at work. And then we set up the allocation. And you don't have to worry about that 1% or 2%, whatever the fee is that they're charging on allocating some robot even doing it and charging you a fee. So every time I see that and it's a member, I'm going, well, you can take that bill off because you have an advisor and this is how we're going to allocate it. But too often, we're just met with people who try to take us away from the work plan, and because they can't help you or they're not licensed as an investment advisor. So be careful, because for the majority of people who are working, the work plan is the best way to reduce your taxable income. But you have to make sure you know about the investment options and get familiar with your risk tolerance and how much you can tolerate as an investor and what your goals are. So I do all of that kind of testing. And then your second was about 45. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because we have been so misled by the media that we actually think that the majority of people who are rich pay a lot of money in taxes. The majority of people who have a good advisor are focusing all their effort into avoiding unnecessary taxes. And that requires planning. And see, we've been taught that you don't know about what your tax bill is until you're at tax time and you're paying somebody and they're filling it out. And then they tell you how much you owe. That's not tax planning. So I sit down with my members and actually look through their tax return the year before. And then during the year, we're advocating on what we need to do, how we need to organize your business, everybody's strategy and goal in life. The IRS has set up rules for us to follow. It's up to us to follow it. I know business owners who don't keep up with their expenses. So they're paying taxes on income that they really didn't make. And more of us are doing that than you could even imagine, about just people who say, well, the tax preparer said that it's a hobby, it's not a business. Who are they to tell you that your photography is a hobby? That's when you switch tax preparers. If they don't know how to make sure that your business is operated like a business, you're working with the wrong advisor. The law is the law, and we should follow it. and make sure that we use it to your advantage. That's what it's there for. It's not, you're not supposed to, exploit or not pay, evasion. Tax evasion is against the law, but tax avoidance is intelligence. That's what we do.
All right, let me jump in here. Which one is 45? Which one is 45?
According to what he's saying, he's avoiding. But when you look at the articles, they're trying to suggest that because some of his expenses went to family members, then they would have a problem with a whole bunch of businesses and not just him. They're saying that he shouldn't have been able to write off the money that he paid to his daughter when we all know she works hard. So we really need to be careful when we encourage something, because it could devastate everybody, like people at the corner store who are paying their child and they write that off on their business expenses. So, it depends on how you're looking at and who the writer is and their perspective of how business can and should be done. But they might say, well, yeah, but she was a consultant, but she was so and so and so. There's always more and more fine print. If you don't like what he's doing, then there's more and more of how he's following the rules. There's laws for the IRS and people arguing against IRS laws every day. So you can actually say this should be deductible, or this should be allowed. Like there was a time where if a man was a caregiver for a family member, then he couldn't write off the expenses and things associated with it because he was a man. And that's what started the gender equality laws moving forward. Like I saw that in Ginsburg's movie, and it was talking about that it was actually because of a man being discriminated against that women got rights. So, it's all in how we look at how the IRS laws are written. And if there's something that you feel is not fair, we are supposed to, make sure that we articulate and oppose it. But according to what he's saying is he's following the law. And he has advisors who, if they're breaking the law, it's not good. It's not like he sat down and did his own return. Somebody else's signature is on that. So if you or anyone else that he does has a negligent return, their tax advisor needs to be addressed.
All right. We got a bunch of folks still want to talk to you, JB. 800-450-7876. Weeda's calling us from Stone Mountain in Georgia. Weeda, you're on with JB Bryan.
Yes, good afternoon to both of you, and thanks for taking my call. JB, my question for you today, yes, it surrounds 401k plans. I am 61 years old, and my plans are to retire maybe within the next, couple of years. Okay. In my 401k plans, I have two that are active. I have a part-time job and also a full-time job.
Go, sis.
I am relatively moderately aggressive in my elections. My question for you is this a very good time to go stable or choose maybe 90, 80% fixed funds or fixed assets or stable funds?
It's a funny time for you.
Moderately aggressive.
It's a funny time for you because your goals are shorter. So sometimes when a person is that close to retirement and they're trying to figure out how much money they have, it could be suggested that if you think that there's a lot of volatility coming up, then you may need to, add some serious stability to your portfolio. It's a good time for you to talk, like the regulators would tell me right now. It's a good time for you to talk to a licensed advisor. Feel free to call me and we can talk, in more detail about your specific situation because, but I understand exactly what you're feeling and those are the thoughts that you should be having. And if you have an advisor, it's time for them to help you through this. Like, look at your risk analysis. Look at what are your income goals for that money. You might say, I'm retiring, but I'm not going to spend this money. So then your thoughts could be totally different. It could be that, hey, this money should be full steam ahead. Or it should be, no, I've got to figure out how much money I can get from this because I need this to supplement my other forms of income. Then other decisions might need to be made. But you're certainly on the right track, and too many people say, I'm retiring next month. I need to talk to someone. So talk to someone now where you've got a year or two ahead, and you might not even retire as early as you think, because you may talk, to someone and then you go, wow, I feel in control. I feel confident. Finding someone that you trust can definitely increase your confidence about your approaching years. You might say, well, I'm going to leave one of my jobs, but not my second job, or, things like that. Or you have pension coming at the part-time, but the full-time doesn't have a pension. Where will the health care come from? Because you're not 65 yet. Do they have it available at one of the jobs? So you have a lot to talk about.
All right. And then that's one of the other things is health care, after retirement.
That's right.
So when I come on the next Zoom class,
that's right.
We'll set up some time to talk then. I've been on several of your Zoom classes.
Oh,
so
great.
The next time I come on one of your Zoom classes, I want to make another appointment with you, and we just talk about it.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you. What's your last name?
Davis.
Okay. I know who you are. Okay. I've never heard your voice, though. Thank you.
All right. It's Rita calls from Stone Mountain in Georgia. I got a text question before I take another phone call for you. This text question, texter wants you to, I just lost it here. Please ask your guest to talk about the difference between whole life and term life insurance. Not too bad. Hold that thought right there, because I hear the drummers warming up. We got to take a short break as we cruise into the top of the hour, so some of our stations need to identify themselves down the line. Stations like 1450 WOL, where information is power.
I'm Bryan, the creator of Afroeconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. Afroeconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out Afroeconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly Afroeconomics podcast. There are many levels of Afroeconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out Afroeconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. #Afroeconomics.
Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
And thanks for staying with us, folks. Well, let's close out with JB Bryan. JB's a financial advisor. And JB, the tweeter question, tweeter want to know the difference between whole life and term life insurance.
That's right. The term life is, of course, temporary. It's only for a particular term, a particular period of time, versus there's only two types, really, of insurance, term and permanent, and then different types of permanent. You have the universal, and then the whole life, and then the term, and then different types of universal. You even have variable universal. So, but those are all just permanent policies, some with flexible premiums, and then with the whole life, the payment is not flexible. So, but with the term, if you get a 10-year term, at the end of the 10 years, it's over. If it's 20-year term, it's over. You're not. But the truth of the matter is, all of the insurances are wrapped really around a term, and you're paying extra money in the permanent to just cover as it gets more and more insurance over the period of time that you're covered. So be very careful with your permanent life insurance policies and look at the guarantee page that tells you how many years at this specific payment that you're actually covered. Because I have clients and many clients who have purchased way before me permanent insurance policies, but now they're in their 80s and they're telling them that now they need to send them extra money because it's not so permanent. So let's know this as we're going in. So if I place someone in a policy, I go, hey, this is paid up until 80. This is paid up until 85. This is paid up until 90. And then this will happen. So and if it's, you want to make sure that it never goes up until you're 100, make sure it's run that way. That's a permanent policy. If you're 70 years old and you get a 30-year term, not going to happen. There's an age limit on when they will do a term policy for. Around 50 years old, you're not going to be able to get a 30-year term after that. You get to like 60, your 30 years takes you in the 90s and the numbers. So be specific on getting things, especially with insurance, as early as possible. Be as healthy as possible, and don't smoke. And all of these things will make the life insurance more affordable. But if you have to choose, get the maximum amount of coverage that you need at the least amount. So if you have $100 a month in your budget and your family needs $1 million of coverage, don't get the whole life policy or the permanent policy for $100,000 because that's all that you could get, when you could have quoted for a term policy that may cover you for, say, 20 years, at least until the children are outside of the house or they're grown. But it'll cover for the period of the term that you need. So investigate your options. Again, it's important to talk to your financial advisor, because don't allow your budget to mess up your specific financial responsibilities. Find out your responsibilities, then get the policy that matches your budget. Yes.
Right, we didn't get a chance everybody didn't get a chance to talk to you. So can you give us some more information how it can reach you?
Sure. Just call 1-844-JB-BRYAN, BRYAN. Go to jbbryan.com or afroeconomics.com for all of the events calendars at both spots. Just hashtag me, and you will definitely get all the information. Go to YouTube. You can get all of the free videos that you could ever imagine. I'm trying to set up playlists. So if you want to talk about investments, you go to the playlist for investments and get the information. Want tax planning? Go to my playlist about tax planning. But I'm putting together really a little college there, a free financial college. I got over 600 videos. All we got to do is get after it. The knowledge is there. Don't stop paying people for some video signups for $100 a month when you've got it right there on my channel. And typically, though, they're not even licensed. So be careful who you're listening to for your financial advice. And remember, this is the golden rule. Anything that sounds too good to be true generally is, especially when it comes to your money. Get the fine print and follow the rules.
Thanks, JB.
Thank you. Today's podcast was powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm and the home of Afro Economics in Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and New York.